Antagonize?
Yeah, George would be like, fuck on me.
Good evening, everyone. This is Captain Jay Carson. I am here with Captain Kenny Mullins. It is Tuesday evening, March 7th, and we are coming to you live from Keaton Beach, the trading post.
They're missing out not being here live, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we need to like invite people in for an in studio audience. That would be kind of fun one night. But it is March 7th, and Kenny, I believe this is the hottest it's been this early in the year that I can remember.
No doubt.
It's been strange. It's been the water temperature was like almost 80 degrees when I got done today.
Yeah, I think I started this morning. It was 75.
Yeah, it was crazy. So anyway, like I said, I'm Jay Carson. This is Kenny Mullins. We are in Keaton Beach at the Keaton Beach Trading Post. It is March 7th. We want to thank Keaton Beach for the Trading Post for hosting us here. Keaton Beach Trading Post is located in Keaton Beach, Florida, which is kind of where we're based out of. We fish a wide array of waters, but kind of our central location is Keaton Beach, and we appreciate all the people that we work with down here, and so try to show them love, and they show us a little love in return.
That's right.
Keaton Beach Trading Post, like I said, is here, and got a bunch of stuff in here from shirts, T-shirts, boots, sauces, hot sauce, sunglasses, flip-flops, anything I'm missing? I mean, just a little bit of everything in here.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Seasonings.
Yeah.
Holiday gifts. Can't forget the holiday gifts.
Yeah, nice little place to stop in here and get a gift for somebody. So make sure you do that. If you're ever in Keaton Beach, please stop by the Trading Post and say hello to Stephanie when she's in here and tell her we said hey. Also want to thank Keaton Beach Bums as well. Jared Monica up there at the store. They work closely with them. I was in there twice today, Kenny.
We were too.
Yeah, I was in there twice today. So a before stop and an after stop. So, all right. So, like I said, it is March 7th. We, basically, when did this warming trend start? It's like mid-February, right?
Yeah.
Like February 15th, 16th, something like that.
Yeah, it was mid-February.
And
it was still a little chilly kind of around the 20th, I think 23rd, when we ran a big group trip with Pat and Evan,
right,
Brent and them. But it was still, it was nice out, but there was still a little chill in there.
Yeah, water temperature was like low 60s then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now we're up to almost 80.
Yep.
It's crazy. Spring is here. Obviously, Spring has sprung. It looks like we're going to have that same kind of warming trend the rest of this week, but we do got a little cool down coming.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Not much.
It's not like as much of a cool down as it was, or as they were initially. They were predicting like some temperatures in the 30s, and but it's definitely come up since then. So I think we're just going to have a little cool down. I don't think it's going to change much as far as the fishing's going.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's talk about this transition that's been happening. It's been kind of even though it's warmed up quite a bit, it's been a slower transition, almost like typical transition. But the Reds have definitely.
They're starting to fire off.
They're starting to fire off.
It hasn't got like that just good,
right,
hot and heavy like it can get,
The trout are still fairly scattered.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody today that was saying that guys are catching limits in 5 feet of water. Not here, but maybe some more of our
I've
western
been catching them here
yeah.
in 4, 4.5.
Yeah. But on the flats.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
On the flats. So I think the majority of the fish have already moved on. With the water temperature being almost 78 degrees, they're going to be out there. There's not a lot of bait though yet.
I seen more bait today than I have all week.
Yeah. Okay.
There's definitely a lot more bait today. Pinfish have started showing up.
Yeah. It's weird. You would think with the water temperatures that we have, the pinfish would be full on the
Right.
flats.
Yep.
But they're kind of not.
No,
Yeah.
no. They're just, like I said, today was the
Yeah,
first day
it's kind of strange.
you're throwing a spoon, like today you're throwing a spoon and snagging some pinfish,
Yeah,
and it hasn't been that way.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because you would think that would be a water temperature thing, but I guess it's somewhat seasonal too.
Yeah. I wonder if they're just catching up. They push out.
Right.
And I think, like Pat says, a lot of those trout push out.
Right.
So I think the trout that we're seeing that's moved out into if Pat's theory is correct, the trout we're seeing now out in the deeper flats, I think is just what pushed out from the shallows and the creeks.
Right.
Because we're still not. I mean, it's still not right.
Right.
It's not quite there.
It's almost like the fish are like not ready for it to be this warm.
Right.
It's kind of what it feels like to me.
Yep.
It's like, okay, it's this warm, but we don't know what to do with this water temperature for this time of year.
And right now, this is prime top water temperature.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure.
And it's the top water bite's just not there.
Firing off.
We're
there.
catching some. We're catching some, but it's not
for sure.
where it should be.
Yeah, yeah. So I had a fly fishing on a recent trip, and I was thinking, okay, water temperature is like 72 degrees. We're gonna start out with a top water fly, and we had like 3 fish follow it, but just would not commit to eating it.
Yep.
And then the other day I was doing the same thing, just regular top water plug. Brandy, will you press the button quickly? Yeah, like I said, I think like you said, I think the fish are just a little bit confused.
Yep.
Not ready for this warmer water, and I do feel like it's going to cool off. Inevitably we get some fronts at the end of March, we get some fronts in early April. I don't know if they're going to be those hard cold fronts that's really going to drop the water temperature, but I think it's just going to kind of keep the water temperature where it's at right now.
Yeah,
I don't see a significant continuing.
It might drop a few degrees, but not enough to. I don't think it'll drop enough to impact.
Right. I like I said, I don't see a significant continuing warming trend of the water temperature.
Right.
I think what we got now is kind of what we're going to have for the next couple months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing too. These winds have been swirling like crazy.
Well, we've had that west wind.
Yeah, you'll go out in the morning, you'll have a wind out of the east, or you'll have a wind out of the south, and shifts out of the west. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, it was out of the northwest this morning.
Yeah.
Which is like an odd wind for, normally we get a northwest wind after a front.
Yep.
And
this weekend I was going out, and, it was the wind was out of the east, and then it's shifting out of the west, and, it's hard to get to those staging areas where it's it's pushing bait
for sure,
and trying, and then the wind shifts, and it's been different.
Yeah, it's definitely been.
You got to be on your A game and be ready to move.
For sure. All right, so guys, we appreciate you joining in tonight. We got a bunch of people joining us. All of you who are commenting in the chat, please continue to do so. We love a good conversation going. Let me just mention some people that are here. Matthew Paredes showing up tonight. What's up, Matthew? Good to see you, man. Jim Rudd, time to go to school, man. Hey, Jim. Appreciate you joining us.
Jim, I haven't forgotten about calling you. I'll call as soon as this is over if you'll be up.
Johnny, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Johnny. Thanks for tuning in, man. Appreciate you. Steve Black, let's get this thing going. I haven't caught any reds, and I don't know why. There's reds around, Steve. It's like we were saying earlier. It's not quite crazy yet, but there are redfish around to be caught. How would you describe the red fishing right now? Sporadic. Somebody said sporadic on here. It was.
Yeah, I'm doing very well on redfish right now, to be honest. But it's definitely early. Typically we see a shift from the south to north, and later, a little bit later. It's like a few weeks early. Give it another couple of weeks, and it's going to be on fire.
I agree. Nate Laskowitz says, has the topwater bite been working for either of you? Yes.
Yes, but it's not prime.
Not prime. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yes, but not prime. Michael Amman joining in. He says everything I caught was on topwater Saturday. Okay, Michael.
But he didn't. Hey, Michael, how was that stringer of fish? I got to get a little dig in on my buddy.
Yeah. Nate, the spoon has been working well. A lot of fish have been catching on that spoon.
No doubt.
Spoon is kind of my go-to for March and April.
So my two best on reds for the last couple of weeks has been the Gold Spoon, the Aqua Dream Gold Spoon, and the Slayer XL and Gumbo.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And when that's on that Slayer, are you rigging it on a jig head?
No, I am rigging it on a 1/8 ounce twist lock.
Twist lock, and are you swimming it?
Swimming it.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I'm not working at all. Just swimming.
Right, just swimming. Michael says they everywhere. Yeah, the trout are everywhere. They're a little bit of everywhere, Michael. There's a lot of big fish in shallow, though.
There is.
There's a lot of bigger fish in shallow, as far as that goes. Johnny says he saw a bunch of bait yesterday.
Yeah, I saw bait yesterday, but nothing like today. There was a lot more bait.
Yeah. Are you seeing a lot of surface feeds?
No.
I know it's weird.
Yeah.
You would think that you'd be seeing a few more surface feeds. Which, if I'm not seeing a lot of surface feeds, I mean that's kind of a good indicator. I mean, obviously, they'll hit top water.
Right.
But when you start seeing a lot of those surface feeds, that's when I like to start, really get after it.
Yeah, and as it got later in the day today, I started seeing some more.
Sure.
It's still, it got pretty rough.
Yeah, it has, and the wind has been an issue here lately too. We've had that strong, hard west wind, which one of the, I guess we can mention it. It's pretty uncommon that you see Portuguese man o' wars.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot.
I know. I think it's that west wind is kind of blowing,
and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Not just I seen someone on one of the Facebook groups. I can't remember which one it was, talking about they know where the fish have been because someone posted a picture.
Sure.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. All right. Chase Bars, what's up, guys? Chase, appreciate you joining in tonight. Steve Wingett, thanks for the tips. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for joining us. All right. Michael Ammon says, all over slots, unfortunately, and a 2.29 pound, 19-inch trout. There was some guys that struggled on that. There was one of our local tournaments this past Saturday, and there was some guys that I noticed that kind of struggled.
I waited to go out after they got out of my way and freaking whacked them.
Yeah, I didn't go out while they were out there.
Oh,
either.
man, we whacked them that day.
Just
it was different tides.
Yeah, for sure. Justin, what's up, dude? Matt, appreciate you joining in. Appreciate you checking in, dude. So as we get going here, if you have any questions about anything that we've been doing as far as how we've been fishing, I've been doing a bunch of sight fishing lately, so I haven't been doing a whole lot of that. Grinding it out, just spoons and top water and things like that.
I've done some, but I've got some fish dialed in that I'm not really having to do that too much.
Right. And so when those questions kind of come up tonight, I'm going to kind of lean on you because I've been doing
I've
so
done
much,
a little bit, but like I said,
I've been doing so much sight fishing that I haven't been working the bars and points and things like that like I normally do this time of year. So. Like I said, I'm gonna lean on you for kind of some of that kind of stuff. I did fish some bars and points the other day, Sunday actually, and saw some fish that we drifted over this bar complex that had some rocks around it, and there was fish in there, and it was midday and it was on kind of a slack tide, which may be why we didn't get any bites. But I didn't get it. The fish were there. We just didn't pick up any fish doing that.
Typically springtime, which is the water temps we're having now, it's no secret I like to fish the tides.
Sure.
Especially trout, I want that mid-tide swing, a lot of water movement.
Yep.
The bite hasn't been there then, or now. It's been the last 2 hours through to the first 2 hours of the tide.
You're talking about like
almost like a winter pattern.
Oh yeah,
still.
so like around the tide, around the high,
the slack,
around the slack. Yeah.
Whether it's high or low, 2 hours before, 2 hours after. Typically, this springtime, I'm fishing from slack to slack, and the best trout bite is that middle third. If you dissect.
Yeah, well, the trout bites seem like they definitely feed more on that middle third because that's when.
Yeah, but they're not right now. They're not.
Okay.
It's in that wintertime, it's closer to the slack.
Sure.
And I always contributed that because you're fishing more creek mouths and
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
structured
Yeah,
troughs,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's a little less, or you have more current flowing through those areas, and I contributed to that. I don't know why it's this way now. It's been odd.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you either. I haven't done a lot of trout fishing here lately, but
I've been doing a lot of red fishing.
That
we're definitely putting her out.
yeah, I would say the red fishing is better than. I don't know. I mean,
it's hard. It's hard to choose right now. I mean, I'm leaving it up to the people because the best bite for both is at the same time right now.
Right. I know a lot of people as far as like, what they've been using. I've been talking to quite a few people, and live shrimp have seemed to be kind of.
I've used some live shrimp.
The ticket here.
I will
here
say
lately.
this: 2 days ago, I had a 5-man group on my boat, and I had 2 throwing shrimp and three throwing artificial, and we caught. It was equal, 50-50, but we weren't catching the shorts on the artificial like we were on the shrimp.
Right.
The 5-inch saltwater assassin shad definitely weeded out those shorts.
On that saltwater assassin, are you fishing that under a cork, or are you fishing that?
No, I'm fishing it on a 1/8 ounce jig head.
Jig head. Okay.
Yeah, and what I've been using, kind of a tech tip right here, tackle tip right here, the Z-Man redfish eye with the longer shank hook, and as Pat says, it makes it sashay side to side more, almost like you're walking the dog.
Pat would use the word sachet.
He would. He would.
He would use the word sachet.
Pat's not here, so I gotta try to.
Fill that in.
But it I don't know what it is.
That makes sense. I mean, it's got the I don't know how you describe it. It's segmented right there, right? So the jig head and the hook are segmented.
Well, no, not that one.
Oh, not that one?
That's the Texas eye.
Okay.
This is the trout eye?
Yes.
It's just like the trout eye, but it has a longer shank hook.
Oh, okay.
So it puts that hook farther back
Right.
on the bait.
Right.
And I don't for some reason, I don't know if it's the balance of it. It makes it almost like it's walking the dog under the water.
Yeah, you feel like the Texas eye would even give it more action?
I do use Texas eyes.
Yeah.
But I haven't been lately.
Yeah. I've never really used them much.
I've been using the redfish eye because they've been more short striking a little bit, so I wanted that hook further back.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's that 5-inch strict shad's a longer bait.
Right.
So if they're hitting the tail or a lot of times, which a lot of game fish will target the tail to disable their prey, so it makes it easier to eat it too. So if you get a lot of short strikes, that's a good thing to do. Maybe just go with a longer shank hook.
And I've been doing that with the Slayers also. I've been using the
XL.
The XL Slayer makes a good hook.
They do. Yes,
and
they do.
I
make
use
a good
those,
hook,
and
yes.
I also use the VMC. I can't remember what they're called now.
Yes.
I've got them, but
Yeah.
they're actually a little longer.
You know what Slayer makes too is they make a weedless jig head.
Yeah,
and it's when I've just kind of started doing this in the last couple months. Is that weedless jig head? Our grass right now is pretty much the shortest that it'll be all year.
Brandy, did you respond? Sorry about that.
That's right. Our grass is kind of the shortest that it'll be our year. It hadn't really started getting into that spring, or summer growing season. So right now, the turtle grass is only about 5-6 inches long. And when I've been sight fishing, I've been using that weedless jig head.
Yeah.
And it perfectly goes through that turtle grass without
How
getting
about
hung
the
up.
algae? Does it go
Nope.
through the algae?
I mean, it doesn't do as great with the algae, but where I've been fishing, there hasn't been a whole lot of algae.
Yeah.
But
there's not as much algae as last year, but there's definitely
there's
some out
definitely
there in
some
certain
spots.
areas.
Yeah. When you get off away from the turtle grass and in some of those little troughs and edges, there's more algae on the bottom. Yeah.
Now I will say, it's good to see a lot of that grass that was eaten by the urchins is coming back.
It is. It's coming back.
I mean, it's going to be a slow process, but it's coming back.
Yeah, and there's some spots too, like where I noticed that the grass is kind of, I don't know if it's just seasonal thing where it's kind of a little thinner, not quite as thick as it usually is. And that might just be a seasonal thing too.
Yeah, probably from the negative tides. Exposed
for sure. All right, guys. So yeah, we still got a bunch of people in here. So like I said, if you guys got any questions or anything, please put those in the chat. I see all the questions, no matter what. We are streaming to a bunch of different pages. So I'm streaming to my pages, Kenny's pages, to YouTube as well. You can always go back and watch on any of those after you get done. So if you got any questions about what you would like to see or have us talk about, please get those in. Like I said. So Kenny,
so something I saw today before I forget.
Yeah, go ahead.
Every red that we caught was spitting up crabs.
And what kind of crabs were they? Could you tell?
They were little stone crabs.
Little stone crabs. I wonder where they're picking those up, just out of the grass,
that's what I'm wondering. I mean,
yeah.
I was seeing like baby stone crab balls coming out of every red.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you're catching where are you catching those fish over grass or structure or what?
Grass.
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah.
Because stone crabs usually relegate to that hard structure bottom.
It made me wonder if these fish aren't moving in from offshore.
They might be. You get that sometime this time of year.
Yep.
You'll get, especially on those big afternoon high tides, I feel like it does pull some fish in from offshore, because you'll be catching fish and then you'll get one that's really light colored.
Yeah.
Like super light colored.
All of these were super light colored that I caught today.
Yeah. And so you get those
abnormally. It's not like I was fishing over a clean sandbar.
Right. Right. And you'll get those light colored fish, and those are I feel like, at least my theory is those are fish that have come in from offshore for whatever reason.
And this is about the time of year that happens.
They do. Yeah, they do. Because you can always tell the ones that have been inshore, because they're a lot more bronze and copper than some of them. And I noticed this time of year where it seems like those bigger fish are those lighter colored fish.
We've been catching some tanks.
Yeah, there's been some bigger fish starting to show up for sure.
Speaking on that, a lot of people look at the social media post, and some of these guides just constantly posting big fish and big boards. I'm not doing as much social media as I used to. I just, I'm catching fish. And I think well, you know that.
Yeah.
I think anyone that goes with me knows we're catching fish.
Right.
But I'm just.
Well, if you look at the local boards, you'll know that there's some sheep's head around.
Yeah.
As Pat said last month, he said, just wait till you see the sheep's head boards showing up. Then you'll know that it's time to go sheep's head fishing.
Yeah, what was funny is I seen on one of you probably seen the same post.
Probably.
Someone posted a full board of sheep's head, and another person's like, "Where can I go catch them with my kayak?" I'm like, and people are saying, "Oh, go in the creeks." Those fish were caught offshore.
Yeah, those are not in the creeks. Those are definitely offshore fish. I spoke to somebody this morning at the ramp that was that's weird. He said that they went offshore to catch them.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's no secret.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing every year.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about that. I know that there's a lot of guys that will start doing that this time of year.
And there's some good public numbers that hold them. Just look it up and try it.
For sure. All right. I don't know. My chat might be messed up. Let me pull up we're not getting any questions in. So
I'm gonna check mine too.
Let me pull up my
as the warden gives me my phone back.
My thing here and see what we got going on as far as questions go. All right, so I guess we'll kind of talk about what we expect to happen here as we move through towards the through March. I do anticipate some kind of leveling out of the weather. Some weather correction.
Yep.
Some I guess some cooling. All right, now we got some questions coming up. Justin popping in here. Justin, I appreciate you participating in the chat this evening. Justin asks, are hard twitch style baits effective going into spring? If so, what are some of your go-tos? That's a great question, Justin. And I would say those hard twitch style baits would definitely be more, relegated to, a redfish will eat them, obviously.
Right.
But I would say if you're going to, specifically, maybe target trout or big trout, that this is a good time of year to start throwing those.
Absolutely.
Those big,
Absolutely.
those hard twitch style baits. And so, Kenny, what are some of your go-tos?
Oh, man.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot.
It's hard to beat a catch 2000.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of phase out the catch 2000
Yeah.
when it starts warming up. The fish are still in tight.
Sure.
Some of the bigger fish, so a catch is still going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Do
you like something that
I like the Myridine XL.
Yeah.
Especially broken glass gold. You can't go wrong with
That broken glass gold, yes. With the red back, yes.
Yeah, either red back or just plain broken glass gold,
Mm-hmm.
especially on a clear sunny day.
Mm-hmm.
If we get some overcast, which it will happen, and not quite as often going into spring, but it does happen. I'll throw more of a silver.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed is, I don't know if it's just the combination of the wind and the tides, or it's probably both. But as you know, a lot of our area, we have these like little troughs that cut through our flats.
Yep.
And they're getting so dirty.
Yeah, a lot of silt.
A lot of silt being kicked up, and it's getting pushed up when the tide changes or the wind pushes. It's getting pushed up on the flats out of those bottoms.
Yeah.
Are you noticing any significance in the bite in relationship to that silt being pushed around?
Yeah, today was much worse than it has been,
Mm-hmm.
and the fish definitely moved away from that.
I don't feel like they like it.
No, they don't. They moved away from it, so I had to find some more protected areas.
Right.
What I did, and this is good advice for you guys to kind of pay attention. I looked for some protected areas nearby, just very nearby, and went in there and got away from it, and the fish were stacked.
So like on the edges of it.
Yeah, on the
that makes
edges.
sense.
If you find some kind of break that's gonna, whether it's a point, whether it's just a change in contour on the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
where that area is just clear and get
Mm-hmm.
right on the edge,
Mm-hmm.
and they stay right on the edge.
Mm-hmm. Going back to your question, Justin, I know a lot of guys like to throw lipped plugs this time of year.
Yeah.
So like a what would you call it? A jerk bait style.
Yeah, like the stick minnows.
Yeah, stick minnow. I guess there's so many different terms for stick baits.
Yeah.
Like Pat. If you ask Pat what a stick bait is, he's going to tell you it's a topwater plug that walks the dog.
Right.
I fish. I guess what I call a stick bait is a soft plastic that looks like a
Right.
like
the Slayers.
the Slayer stick bait, and then some people call those lipped plugs stick baits.
Yep.
Which is interesting to me because, there's, depending on who you talk to, everybody has a reference for a certain kind of bait.
Yep.
Which what would you call the lipped minnow looking? Like I kind of call those a twitch bait.
That's what I call
A twitch bait.
That's
Yeah,
what I
where
call
you twitch it, twitch and let it rise.
Now, one that we used last year, a good friend of mine, brought on board. I may be saying this wrong, so I may need to look it up. But Lucky Craft, does that sound right? It's a bass. Let me see.
Lucky Craft. I don't know that I've heard of that.
Let me see. They're expensive, but man,
Mike Marchese says three treble hooks equals a stick bait.
yes, Lucky Craft, the Lucky Craft pointer.
I got you. Yeah. So Justin says twitch, let it rise, are exactly what my question was referring to.
Yeah.
So Unfair Lures makes some really good
ones.
twitch baits. The stick minnow, like you said, I'm not as familiar with the Unfair Lures as you and Michael are. But what's the
I like this time of year or going into spring. I like the 100 size. I like
100?
the
That's
bigger
it.
ones.
Yeah, the 100.
And color's going to depend on where
Sure,
you're fishing.
sure.
The watercolor.
Sure. And everybody's familiar with like a cotton cordell, which that's kind of the same concept. But
we're kind of getting out of that.
But
though.
what we are, it's different. I don't know what it is about that.
Well, it's more shallow running.
Right. Yeah.
But that Lucky Craft that he brought,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an expensive lure, but when the later in spring, like later April, those trout get out in that 4.5 to 6 foot range. That Lucky Craft, it just kills them.
Yeah.
I mean, it does phenomenal if you want to spend $20 on a plug, but you're going to catch
Sure.
fish.
So you guys that are in here, Kenny and I we're talking about stick baits. So if you will, like maybe post in the comments what you call a stick bait or what your description of a stick bait is. So when somebody says, "I fished a stick bait the other day," let us know what you think like that's referring to. Because like we said, that, those a lot of people have different terms for stuff or what they call it. So I'd be curious to know what the guys in the chat or what you guys in the chat call a stick bait. And
Now, 3 treble hook, you're not going to see me throw one with
Mike
3. I'm going to
Marchi,
take one
man,
off.
I have no desire
No.
to deal with fish or to deal with unhooking fish with 3 treble hooks.
No.
So, yeah, I always take that middle one off. And I don't feel like you lose. I mean, I don't feel like your hookup ratio changes either. And most of the baits these days, 2 hooks is plenty. But yeah, I'm curious to know what you guys call a stick bait. And then I'm curious to know what you call a twitch bait too. Like, so what do you like? Some people call like a jerk shad, like a soft plastic, with the split tail fork. A twitch bait because you do twitch it when you fish it.
Right.
But I call that more of a jerk bait. Yeah. So Tyler Smith says a jerk bait. Is that what are you referring to, Tyler? Is that like the soft plastic or are you referring to a hard bait there? That's kind of what I'm curious because I have my own, right? I have my own, I guess, definitions or names for those different types of baits.
Yeah,
and I'm
I feel
just
like
curious
me and you kind of call them.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like so too. But I'm just curious. You have all these different styles of baits. As to
well, you got to look. We have multiple regions here. Too,
sure,
so
yeah, and you've got like a lot of
the South Georgia lingo,
exactly,
and the
exactly,
Taylor County lingo.
Yeah. so Tyler says he calls a jerk bait a hard body with 2 or 3 hooks with a lip. So he calls that a jerk bait.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that call that a jerk
whereas,
bait.
I would call that a twitch bait.
Right.
Yeah, and so Johnny says he calls a soft plastic a jerk bait. That's what I call.
Yeah, like a jerk shad.
Yeah, that's what I call it. A jerk bait is a soft plastic, like a 5-inch shad or a 4-inch shad with a little split tail at the end.
Man, y'all don't know what you're missing if you don't come up here and get some Krabby coffee from the Trading Post.
Dude, I had one of Stephanie's sample packs this week, and I was like, I'm finally gonna try that. That stuff is so good.
It is good.
It's delicious. That crappy coffee is awesome.
Had to get a plug in for Steph.
For sure. But it's funny that you mentioned that because I literally this week I tried it. I was like, I'm gonna try this. Like I said, let's continue the jerk bait, stick bait, twitch bait conversation here because I think that's interesting to see what people call the different styles of baits.
And honestly, I mean, Yozuri makes a good one, but it's
for the money.
It's hard to beat the unfair.
It is, yeah. The Rapala X-Wrap, would be one.
Yeah.
And
I've got a bunch of those.
Yeah.
You got to have the right people to use them. And with what we're doing, I don't always have the right people.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that to put anyone down.
Sure.
And I'm also not going to throw those when I have 4 people on the
right,
boat.
right. Sure.
So I'm going to be using more soft plastic spoons, live. We're getting into some live bait season, and mostly that's to kind of just broaden the spectrum of our catch.
Let's touch on Steve Black's question here because I see when I have people fish on my boat, there's a certain way that I like a gold spoon retrieved. And I don't know if you're the same way, but I think everybody's a little different. But Steve Black asked the question: when fishing a gold spoon, do you reel straight in or pop rod tip or both? You go. What you go first, Kenny?
So typically, I just tell them just a straight reel. Because I get a lot of novice fishermen, and when you don't have novice fishermen, you really don't have to tell them what to do. They know what to do. But for the most part, it's straight reel. Now there are times, especially in the winter, where we're letting it drop and kind of jigging it.
Sure.
Bouncing it off the bottom is the way to go.
Sure.
But, we're talking spring right now.
Yeah.
I'm just covering ground.
Yep.
Fan casting, power fishing,
Yep.
more or less.
Yep. And so I tell my people, my clients, I want that spoon to stay 2 feet below the surface.
Yep.
If
you can have 2 feet.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like if I'm power fishing, around the high tides, which is what I like to do with a spoon, looking for stacked fish.
Right.
I want that spoon 2 feet below the surface. That seems like that's kind of the magic speed.
Yeah.
If you get too fast, they don't want to chase it down. If you get too slow, I feel like it doesn't pique their interest enough.
Now, speaking of that, since you mentioned that, one thing I tell my clients, if you're retrieving that spoon, then like you said, there's that sweet spot.
There's a sweet spot.
I like it we're just barely touching the tip of the grass.
Yeah.
That's what I tell them. If you can feel it, not hang up in the grass, but just feel a little bit of bumping.
Yep.
But if you start getting hits, don't stop. If anything, reel faster. Get them fired up to chase it. Don't stop. Don't slow down. Just reel a little bit.
Yeah,
faster.
I just tell them to keep it steady.
I do, but if they're going to do anything, I would rather them
then stop it. Yeah, like that. There's
don't set the hook. Don't set the hook till you feel the tension.
Right. That's exactly. So, a spoon bite is different than just about any other bite.
It is
that you fish with, especially for redfish.
Yep.
Because so many times those fish either are swipe at it and miss it the first time, or it's like they're chasing it down and they're trying to get it in their mouth as they're swimming with it.
Yep.
And you feel a subtle little tap, tap, tap.
I tell everyone it feels like you're tapping a rock.
Right.
Yeah, that's what the bite
does.
feels like.
It does. It feels like you're tapping a rock. And then a lot of times, if you feel that tap tap and you try to set the hook, you're not going to hook the fish.
Yeah, you're just going to snatch.
You're
it
just
away
going to pull it away from them.
Yeah.
So what I just like you said, what I tell my people is you'll feel that tap tap tap, and then when you feel that rod get heavy, that's when you set the hook.
Yep.
Yeah.
And same thing with when you're trout fishing, whether you're using live bait, whether you're using jigs. Don't set the hook when you feel the bite. Set the hook when you feel the tension against the rod.
Sure. Yep. That's really good. That's exactly right. The 9 times out of 10, if you're bass setting in salt water, you're just going to pull the bait away from the fish.
That's right. And we get a lot of bass fishermen that come.
Right.
And it's hard to break. I mean, they're looking like Bill Dance about to fall out the back of the boat.
The only time I bass set is when I'm sight fishing with like a soft plastic and I physically see the fish.
See it eat
the bait. I physically see the fish eat the bait.
And even then, sometimes you pull it out.
You can pull it away. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because sometimes when they eat it, they don't get their mouth all the way closed, and you'll just whoop right out from there.
But it's hard not to. When you see them inhale that bait.
No kidding. Absolutely.
By the way, if you haven't experienced sight fishing, we're coming up on a great time of the year to experience it, and there's several of us here that can make that happen
for sure. All right, so we're kind of running slow on questions in the chat, so we're getting on about the 45-minute mark. So if you got anything else you want us to touch on before we start to wrap it up here, please put that up. So just get that in, and so Kenny, I'm going to pose a question to you. We've been talking a lot about lures and stuff like that. Let's just give people a quick. Let's give people a quick. We haven't really given like a good like a fishing report as far as like, okay, I'm going to go out and target trout today. So if I were to say, all right, if somebody wants to go out and target trout, let's talk kind of the
tactics.
yeah. What would you
So-
at least a good starting point? I know a lot of people have been catching them on live shrimp under a cork.
Yeah, right now, I
and
mean, we're getting into the popping cork season.
Sure.
Whether you're using live bait or a jig head and soft plastic under it. I know one local guide texted me today and said that they were catching them on gulp under a popping cork. I'm not going to have gulp on my boat unless I'm having a hard time. But so right now you're looking at that, like we said earlier, that 3.5 to 4.5 foot range. It's hard to beat a popping cork right now, whether you're using live shrimp. Pinfish are moving in, so that transition to pinfish, if you're a live bait fisherman, it's there.
Yeah,
They're showing up. The last couple of days, they've moved in with a vengeance. So your pinfish is going to be a good option. One thing with the pinfish, especially if you're using bigger ones, is give them time to eat it.
Yeah. Yeah, when you see the cork go down, don't pull it away from
Right. And even shrimp, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're using shrimp, you see that cork move. I mean, don't just try to set the hook. Reel, feel tension, set.
Right. Reel all the slack out of your line that inevitably is in there.
Right. and the other thing, pop that cork. I joke with everyone on the boat. I said you got to twerk it. And every now and then I'll get someone on the boat to start twerking. But when these pinfish start coming in, they're going to eat the legs off the shrimp. They're going to you keep that cork, you keep popping it and kind of pulling it away from those.
Do you
pinfish.
like a hard pop when you're fishing with shrimp?
I do. I like a hard pop.
Yeah, when you're fishing with shrimp
and pinfish.
Yeah.
My favorite popping cork is the Four Horsemen.
Right.
And I like the popper. I don't like the oval. Some people like the oval, but I really like that.
It's got the concave head on it. Yeah.
Yep. And I like the Four Horsemen. They hold up. They're stout. They cast a mile.
They do.
Just excellent sound.
Mm-hmm.
And especially as we get later, which we'll talk about this next month, but as we get later in the spring, those fish get deeper. I feel like that louder pop just really helps.
Mm-hmm.
So if now
can you pop too hard?
I don't think you can.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think you can pop too hard. I see so many people that fish with a popping cork. It's like, click. They barely move the cork when they pop it.
Oh, I hammer it.
And it's like, okay, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to make some noise now. Pop that thing.
Yeah, I hammer it. And like today, I mean, once that tide started coming up and I heard some fish feeding on, if you ever sit back and listen to fish, which, most people probably doesn't.
Right.
They got their radio turned up, and getting a little tipsy. But if you sit back and listen to fish, it's loud.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in one of our regions where there's some snook.
Yeah.
It's a loud pop.
I mean,
But trout too. I mean, trout really, really hammers the top. So I'm probably more aggressive than anyone I've seen. I mean, I'll pop it 2 or 3 times real hard, let it sit for about 5 or 6 seconds, and hammer on it again.
Yep.
Now, if you're gonna do that aggressive, you might consider putting a split shot to help get that bait down.
Get the bait down, yeah.
Because you're pulling that bait, especially shrimp. You're pulling that shrimp up. I don't. I mean, right now, we're getting into where there's a top water feed.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you don't,
and really, your leader's not that long anyway when you're in 3 feet of water. So
now I'm running about a 2-foot leader.
Right. So those fish don't have to go far.
Right.
To go eat it. I mean, a trout. When they see that shrimp up there 2 feet above them, they're going to go up there and eat it. They're not. It's not like when you're fishing in 8 feet of water and the fish sees something up there 6 feet above him. He might not come up there and eat it.
Right.
Right.
Yep. And so that's for the live bait options. That's for, right now I'm talking trout.
Sure.
So what has been working, probably in my opinion, better is just a 5-inch jerk shad,
soft plastic,
soft
on
plastic,
1/8, like
on
you were
a
talking.
1/8 ounce jig head,
Bouncing
bouncing it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But you got to give it time to sink. They're going to hit it on the
drop.
On the drop.
Yep.
And as far as colors, right now a hot one's been Laguna shrimp.
Okay. I like some pink.
Yeah. Yeah. Laguna shrimp. Pat told me they did good on the stinky pink the other day.
Okay. Yeah. Chris Cincy, if you're out there, I've been trying to get Chris at Slayer to make me the stinky pink because they have a in the twitch bait, in the stick bait. I mean,
Yeah.
And they make a twitch bait too.
That Laguna shrimp color, that light pink,
that
with
light
the gold,
pink, yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah, he's got one that's similar to that too.
Now we're talking redfish. We covered it pretty good, but it's hard to beat a gold spoon.
Gold spoon and top water. I mean, I don't know that you need anything else right now.
No.
Gold spoon and top water. Tyler says,
and your Slayer X.
Yeah.
Your
I mean,
big
if I'm
slim
sight-
baits, if you like assassin, the dye dappers are good.
yeah.
Now I like more natural colors, especially sight fishing.
Sure.
I like the more natural colors, like your gumbo or your watermelon reds, watermelon slice. More natural color.
Tyler says, "What's y'all's best color spoons for cloudy conditions?"
I like the bright Aqua Dream gold spoon.
Gold, and then sometimes that copper.
I like the copper.
The copper.
I do. The copper is my favorite, but on cloudy conditions, I think the
gold gets more
the
of a
bright
flash,
gold is the way.
I
to
also
go.
like to use I feel like the Aqua Dream, like the pilchard pattern or the mullet pattern when it's cloudy and overcast. I've caught a lot of fish throwing those in either like darker water, stained water, or when it's cloudy like that too. And then and of course you can always throw that pink too in that.
Oh
in
yeah,
that stained
I've got
water.
the pink. I
Yeah.
got the shark.
Yeah.
I got them
Yeah.
all. But I will say one thing. I've got a lot of friends that fish south of here in different areas.
Yeah, and it's a lot dirtier water down there.
And they really like the Johnson. One of the main reasons
I know it's interesting.
One of the main reasons I don't use the Johnson is we're fishing a lot shallower.
Sure.
We're not fishing those deep cuts, those passes, those. The Aqua Dream really excels in our conditions.
In shallow water. Yeah, it does. It's funny, you hit like Steenhatchee or Cedar Key, and it's like everybody down there throws those Johnsons.
Yep.
And most everybody that I know that fishes around here throws an Aqua Dream.
Cloudy conditions, a white spoon is good.
That's what I said. Those pilchard. Yeah, the
but
pilchard,
even just the plain white.
Yeah,
if you can't find the pilchard.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the plain white one's good. Yep.
And plain white excels with snook. So if you're fishing a snooky area within our region, that white
That white.
really.
Snook like white in general.
Yeah.
They love white. Johnny says stuff is definitely migrating north. Saw 3 sharks and 10 sea turtles in less than 4 feet today. And a buddy caught a 20-inch mackerel at Spring Warrior. You've been seeing those big giant bull sharks cruising the flats?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're
We've been catching some.
You caught you? I haven't thrown at it. I kind of want to throw a fly at one. See if I can get one to eat a fly. I think that would be kind of fun.
We caught a 6.5 footer. When was that? Last week.
Was it one of those ones that was up there shallow? Was swimming with his fin and back out of the water just about.
Yeah.
What did it eat? What'd you throw at it?
Shrimp.
It ate a shrimp.
It ate a shrimp.
That big old thing ate a shrimp. Oh yeah. Yeah. Sure enough. That's funny.
15-pound test.
Yeah, I saw the
20-pound
post on there.
fluorocarbon leader.
Yeah.
On a 3,000 Florida Fishing Products Osprey and a Bull Bay rod took an hour and a half.
All right, so I think that's going to kind of wrap us up. So I mean, you went over the trout, and like we said for redfish, I mean the spoon.
He brought up a good point that we need to talk about
What's,
with the toothy critters moving in. We got the mackerel moving in.
Sure.
We got some bluefish moving in. It's time to
step up your leaders. Yep. Yep.
And it's a good idea. I throw a lot of fluorocarbon a lot of the year, but I've switched over to monofilament, 30-pound mono, and I like the pink. Right now I'm using the Andy. It's cheap.
Sure.
That the monofilament it's for one, it's a little more abrasive resistant. And two, when you're throwing those top waters, I don't know that it makes that much of a difference, but it is a little more buoyant.
Sure. Yep. All right. So I think we're going to get about wrap us up here. We're about to hit the hour mark.
What was that Jim Rudd said?
Jim says that he wants to go to the bait shop after listening to us talk.
No.
Yeah, I mean, all of this stuff that we've talked about, I mean, they got it right here at the Keaton Beach corner store. I mean, everything pretty much that I've been using for the last...
Everything I'm using.
Yeah, is right there at the Keaton Beach corner store. They got the Aqua Dream spoons in there.
Probably the most used plug that I start using this time of year as those trout get a little deeper, and I forgot to say this earlier, is the Unfair Greenie.
Yeah, the Greenie.
The bigger, the 90 Greenie.
Yep.
That silver and black. I mean, when those trout hit that,
especially
that
when the
4 foot
bait
range,
shows up.
Yeah.
When that bait shows up.
When we start seeing some white bait and some greenbacks coming in, I mean, it's...
Yep. For sure. And that mimics those really well.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
All right, so I think we're going to kind of wrap it up. If anybody has any last minute questions, throw them in, and we'll touch on it real quick before we go. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Appreciate you guys as always every month. Some of you guys are like monthly regulars, and we really, really, really appreciate it. I just want to thank Stephanie here at the Trading Post and also Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals. I haven't talked about that much. But if you are interested in coming down here and fishing with one of us and you need a place to stay, Stephanie is your go-to person to get. She's got a variety of different lodging options. And if you just go to www.keatonbeachvacationrentals.com, you can see all the lodging options that she has, from one room efficiencies all the way up to houses that sleep like 12 people.
And we'll pick you up from the dock.
Yeah, and all of the places that she has are easy for us to work with. We can pick you right up from the dock, unless there's a big negative tide, then we might have to work something else on that. But those are kind of coming to an end.
Yeah,
we got about maybe one more tide cycle of some good negative tides, and then they're going to switch to where they're going to be starting in the evenings and afternoons.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, just, like I said, she's got great places to stay, reasonably priced places to stay, from everything if you're just coming down with a buddy to, like I said, where you're coming down with multiple families to spend a week or a weekend down here.
But you better book early.
Yes, especially with scallop season coming up, and then the spring and summer fishing season coming up. Make sure you get in and get on her calendar and get something booked for that time.
Speaking of that, is your spring looking pretty good?
Yeah, it's starting to pick up.
Man, I am swamped.
Yeah, it's starting to pick up.
The bookings are...
Yes, they're starting to flow in now. Yeah. I was a little worried for a little while, but it seems like...
my weekends, I think I may have one weekend, 1 or 2 weekend days left till the end of May. Yeah. Scallop season's booking like crazy, so y'all don't miss out.
Definitely. If I've got some days open, I've still got some weekend days open from in March and April, but they're starting to run out. So make sure if you can't get a hold of Kenny or one of these other guys here, you can always call one of us.
And we share.
Sure.
If we're booked up, we're gonna send you in the right direction.
Yep,
some
absolutely.
Quality fishermen.
Absolutely. Johnny says, I'm lost on those negative tides. Do the fish move far out? Johnny, yes and no. So that's kind of one of those things that it's just kind of takes a lot of experience to figure out what to do on those negative tides.
If you push out, you're going to find some.
You're going to find them out. My advice to you, Johnny, would be to, on those negative tides, get as shallow as you can and then work out. And then you're going to find the fish that's somewhere.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, or vice versa. Yeah, depending. But I like to start shallow because I know that there's not going to be inside of me.
Right.
I'm going to get as far in as I can to where I know, okay, there's no fish that way. They're all going to be this way.
I prefer to do that. I prefer everyone else to start out there. Which most aren't going to run as shallow anyways.
Exactly. All right, so we want to thank all of our partners that work with us. Again, Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals, Keaton Beach Trading Post, and the Keaton Beach Corner Store. Make sure if you're ever down here to stop in and talk to those people. Like I said, I'm Captain Jay Carson's Captain Kenny Mullins. Real Epic Charters, Plug and Fly Charters. Kenny's got a website, Facebook page, all that stuff. I got a Facebook page you can go check out. And like I said, if you want to get on the calendar for this spring, you better do it now. Because pretty much it's going to be you're going to miss out if you don't do it soon.
Yeah, no doubt.
So this is where we are approaching the best time, but in my opinion, this right here and then that late fall or early winter.
Yeah, I would say it's not quite there.
Yeah, we're not.
It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. So make sure you get on the calendar and don't miss out for that. So again, like I said, we're going to sign off. Appreciate y'all joining us this month, and we will see y'all in April.